With Crash Bandicoot Racing out, Naughty Dog felt they got all they could from Crash at the time, and they wanted to figure out what their next big franchise is going to be. They did know that they wanted to make a day and night cycle and a seamless no-load map. Those were the first two design choices that we now know as Jak and Daxter. Naughty Dog saw the power on the PS2 and they had a few ideas, so with their 35-member team, they went to work on their next big game. Jak and Daxter, hero with a little sidekick, was actually inspired by the popular Disney's Aladdin and his monkey Abu, having this energetic sidekick that you cannot control and also just being a comic relief.
You don't know what you're missing.
Whereas the hero Jak is a silent protagonist to give you the impression that you are Jak and you're controlling him.
Similar to a Disney movie setup, if you think about it, with the genie, who is not the main character that has all the wisecracks, but Aladdin is a very quiet character. He doesn't have very strong personality.
When they first designed Jak, they gave him this fire-like hairstyle with these long pointy ears, while wearing goggles on top of his head, and he has cloths wrapped around his body in certain areas, like his hands and his arms. Also wearing very few pieces of armor like his chest plate, his shoulder, and his arm, giving the impression that he is some type of agile character that maybe lives in the woods or something like that. Or he's just homeless, I don't know. But please put some shoes on, Jak. What are those cloths doing to your feet? It looks like you're losing circulation in your big toe. His furry companion Daxter is just straight up naked. He's a half otter, half weasel, and he does wear goggles on his head, but it's more of a hat than they are goggles. Has open finger gloves, and he has orange and yellow fur to cover that naked body. They have a great dynamic in this first game, even with Jak not talking. Every time you collect a power cell, they do some type of celebratory dance, like they just got a touchdown in the Super Bowl. All their attacks are these uncoordinated childlike movements. Jak has his spin attack that he stretches and loosens his entire body, while Daxter is holding on for dear life. Or this dash attack where he slides across the floor and his hand enlarges. Daxter is always on Jak's shoulder, and no matter the situation, he has some type of reaction or one line to it.
We scrounged enough orbs to trade for a power cell. Let's get back and make the switch already.
When the team at Naughty Dog saw Mario 64, they knew what they wanted their next game to be like. While in Mario 64 you jump into paintings to get into new worlds, Jak and Daxter is this open world with no load time, so you can seamlessly play the game and feel completely involved. It gives the player this sense of wonderment and curiosity, wanting them to explore everywhere the map has to offer. Which in my opinion, Jak and Daxter, the first game, has the best level design out of the trilogy. They actually start you in their own green hill zone, making you feel safe with all this greenery and palm trees, and you're steps away from the beach. While stepping further into the forest, you come across an ancient ruins with overgrown weeds all over the walls. This design gives this feeling of advanced technology but from the past, making you wonder how long this area has actually been here and who occupied this space before you. While exploring the land, you get the hang of Jak's controls and the premise of the game, collecting all the precursor eggs and power cells available. Mini games are also sprinkled in throughout the game. Also, you'll find different ecos through the game to help further you, with each one giving you a different color aura. Taking an airship to another island, you come across Misty Island. While Sentinel Beach was green and happy, Misty Island is the complete opposite. Dead trees lingering everywhere, animal bones picked clean and laid around, with no green in sight. With the mist covering most of the sunlight, this island requires torches to light the path to give this eerie feeling, with gray stones also protruding everywhere to give this cold feeling as well. Monsters becoming harder to take down with their armor made of bones from their enemies. Misty Island is not a place for anybody to want to live, so the rent's gotta be cheap. Then there's Rock Village, which is just a terrible name for a village, but it's also ironic because it's the most coziest place in this whole game if it wasn't for fire boulders everywhere. It has heavy inspiration from Japanese garden and traditional houses. Walking through this village, you'll see trees stretching far out from the top of mountains. The bridges to cross lakes are actually the same type of bridges in Japanese gardens. I love Japanese gardens in general, so too bad this place is completely on fire and you never really get to see it in its full glory. As the name volcanic crater suggests, you are in the center of a volcano, which should not be possible because you would burn to death, but hey, that's just me. Minecarts are constantly on the move, looking like Donkey Kong Country, bringing you to sub-areas like a cave full of diamonds or lakes full of dark eco. And underneath you is boiling lava with flames dancing on top of the surface. You could take a trolley to lead to the top of the mountain, and once there, you see nothing but snow-covered lands. creaky bridges providing unpromising pathways with a never-ending space below you. I think Volcanic Crater does a very good job at being a volcano. Finally, the Citadel is the last area of the game. Jak and Daxter have been chasing the final bosses throughout the whole game, so they never had time to fully build their laboratory. Very dim areas with exposed wires. Yep, that's a health violation. Light panels flickering on and off, incomplete walkways. I would not be able to work under these conditions. There's too many health issues for me. This feels like the type of lab Victor Frankenstein would work in, which is kind of clever because in the center of this whole lab is an ancient precursor robot that was put together with random artifacts throughout the map. So in a sense, it is Frankenstein's monster. I feel like this last world was just a bit cheesy. Defeating the final boss with everything you've learned throughout the game, collect all the power cells, and you open this giant door to a white light, which then brings us to Jak 2. Naughty Dog has now made the foundation, but they wanted to make something greater with the second installment.
In Jak 2, we were able to build upon what we had created before and go in all new kinds of directions and create things that would not have been possible with the original engine.
They decided to drop Daxter from the title.
This is what happens when they drop my name from the title.
Making it more mature compared to the first one. Jak's hair has grown out, now laying on his back. Jak, you got something on your face right there. Oh, that's your facial hair. And he filled in a little bit. He's been hitting the gym, so it showed that time has passed. He's wearing this motorcycle-inspired outfit with a leather jacket, open-hole gloves, boots, and this incredible red scarf. A scarf is such an easy way to make a dope, rememberable character. Wait, who is that guy? All the armor from the first game is still there. I never really understood what the point of the chest piece was. Like, what is that protecting? As well as keeping the goggles, but with a slight tweak to them. Oh, and he could talk now.
I'm gonna kill Praxis!
Oh, angry Jak. Daxter got nothing. Daxter doesn't really change much in this franchise unless you count the solo game he has where he dreams and he becomes the dopest character to ever touch the PSP. Gameplay-wise, Jak's movements and actions are all the same. I mean, like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? Now because he's so angry, he became an edgelord and now there's Dark Jak. Ooh. Basically Werehog Sonic before Sonic. It's not my favorite design. He runs like he doesn't know how to use his legs. It grows his nails out and he turns into a dark elf from Skyrim. There's 4 types of guns with all of them being a different type of color. But the cool thing here is it's all the same gun. So if you take a closer look, you can actually see Jak change that gun into the type of bullets he wants. The 4 colors being red for shotgun, yellow for the assault rifle, blue for railgun, and purple for just badass. Each gun giving off some type of cool particle effect. The shotgun producing this red shockwave. Yellow having these long beams. The railgun are these little blue needles. And the purple being this ball of electric. It's a great indication to tell you which gun is which. The world of Jak 2 is ugly in a good and in a bad way. The main city is run down. All the buildings look like with a strong gust of wind they would just collapse. Having weeds growing out the walls. And giant chunks of floor missing. Someone could get hurt. While high up in the sky is this floating palace, giving the same impression as Alita battling. So the wash colors in this entire game complement this city well. The surrounding area underneath the floating palace actually has beautiful green trees, fountains, perfect roads. It gives this sense of clean and only the high class people live in this area. Which it should give off this drastic difference between the high class and the lower class. But because how washed the colors are in this game, if you're in a you really won't notice the difference, which is my main problem with Jak 2 and Jak 3, which I'll show off later on in this video. Look at Jak 1 and now look at Jak 2 and tell me whose colors pop more. Jak 2 looks like they took the color slider and they slid it to 50 from Jak 1. But then again, the ancient ruins are amazing with its dim lighting and the green fire complementing each other so well. Going deeper into the ruins, you'll notice on the walls there's so much texture. Some of the texture even being the same exact writing that's on the precursor egg. Also, there's carvings of creatures on the wall, showing that there was a civilization prior to you being here, showing the history within these bricks. Throughout this game, you would get missions from the same group of characters. So you would complete a mission, travel through the map to wherever your next mission is, which means you need a set of wheels or wings or a hover car. Yeah. So you steal the hover car. Steal the hover car? Hold up. So you steal cars, cops are always around, you have a gun, and you travel across this open world. They just copied horses.
There's a horse inside. I've got to save him. I've got to get inside.
Naughty Dog was heavily influenced by Rockstar's games GTA series. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you remember what I said they were influenced by the first game, Mario 64, this makes it feel like Jak is not just one design. Sure, the first game had some mini games, but in Jak 2, every mission is slightly different than the last mission. One mission you're just shooting metalheads, the next you're racing, and then all of a sudden you're in a mech. There is a lot of variety in Jak 2. There's even more variety in Jak 3. Jak 3 is just a bigger version of Jak 2. It came out about a year after Jak 2 as well. I would hate to work at Naughty Dog at this time. I sure hope they were not slaving these people. In this game, Jak's clothes gets torn off. So the leather jacket sleeves are ripped off and he's missing his giant gloves. He also has the shortest hair in the trilogy. In the later games, Jak will have even shorter hair. And I like Jak for his hair, but not for how it looks on him, but kind of the meaning behind it. With each game, something about Jak's hair always changed, showing that with each game, a big event happened and time has passed to where he might have changed up his look a little bit. The funny thing though is in this game, he starts off with his Jak 2 design and then he becomes unconscious, and when he wakes up, he has short hair and his clothes are torn off, and he's completely unfazed by that. We should talk about that, Jak. That is not okay. Throughout the game, you'll acquire armor pieces, and once completed, you get this interesting desert design. Jak acquires a chest plate, leg and armor pieces, and finally a second shoulder pad to even himself out. For the game aesthetic, it works well with the desert theme, but to me, he just looks kind of like a cockroach. He's still got that badass scarf though. I have no idea who this is still. And Daxter got pants, but only at the end of the game. Other than that, he is still a big yapper.
I used to be the tall puppy on that baby. Wanna try to beat me, Score?
Oh, don't worry. Jak beats things all the time. Hey, Jak?
Everything about this game got upgraded. The gun went from 4 variations to 12 variations. All 4 versions getting an extra 2 versions. Red now having the Xbox Red Ring of Death and a grenade launcher. Yellow acquiring bullets that bounce off of the wall. And oh my god, is that a UFO? Blue having an electric shockwave and these heat-seeking needles. Purple has a gravity gun and a freaking nuke. Some of my favorite versions are the Red Ring of Death. I love the sound effect and the flash, with Jak even giving a little hop, gives this extra oomph to that gun. The gravity gun I appreciate out of pure aesthetic because I love all the particle effects on the floor, while the heat-seeking needles look like a school of fish in air hunting down their prey. Jak has been blessed with light eco in this game, so there's a cute yin-yang symbol on the bottom to show you the meters of both light and dark eco. Light Jak is just this blue aura with insect legs protruding out of his back like wings, but the highlight here is his idle stance. He looks like he has figured everything out that this world has offered him, while Daxter is hitting the Namaste pose and he is looking fried out of his mind. I personally prefer Light Jak's design over the edging lord Dark Jak. You start the game in the wastelands. With little to no water, the only plants thriving in this area are cactuses. The buildings are more rectangle shaped and they're made of clay, sticks, hopes, and dreams. With clay pots scattered everywhere and a gravel path, this is a drastic difference from the city in Jak 2. It shows that the villagers in this town have to fend for themselves and are in a constant struggle for survival. And if you travel to the end of the wastelands, you notice that they have a giant body of water there. My only guess is they can't make that drinkable water, so that only adds more to the torment of these people's lives, where they get teased with this water while the sun is drying them out like a raisin. They have a wall protecting them from the outside desert, and the only way to traverse through that desert is on a pair of wheels. But while traveling through the desert, you notice you're in a constant sandstorm and nothing is there for miles upon miles on end. In the trilogy of Jak and Daxter, this has to be the worst village to live in. Between Jak 2 and Jak 3, a war has broken out in New Haven, so a place filled with civilization is now scattered with monsters and destruction. Floors are littered with holes from explosions that were set off. Unmanageable fires are spreading because no one can take care of it. They do a great job at showing the aftermath of what happened between Jak 2 and Jak 3. Jak 3 has a lot more areas like the ruins where you're blessed with the light eco, or the forest that is untouched by modern man. I want to highlight the area that you have to travel through to get to that forest. This is where the remaining metalheads have been thriving. It is a green cesspool of poison water running down the center of this long, thin passageway. Green smog hovers the area while everything you look at is moving. Giant walls are close together, making you feel tiny and trapped. And the walls have veins running up and down it, making you feel like this area is just one big living creature and you somehow fell into his belly and there's no way of escaping. I don't know who designed this area, but they had something to prove. They had to feed their family. I love Jak and Daxter's 1 game design as a whole, but Metalhead City is my favorite designed area in all 3 games. Naughty Dog made something really unique with this franchise, but yet made something familiar. Jak throughout this trilogy had a lot going on for him. They used Jak and Daxter to show what the PS2 was capable of, and the games that influenced them, they wanted to make their version but better, which in results, Jak is not one game design. And in a way, he's kind of a jack of all trades. He's not perfect at anything, but he's really good at everything. Is he better than Mario 64 or GTA or anything else it's influenced by? I'm not one to make that decision. What Naughty Dog made was a very accomplished and ambitious franchise, and they succeeded at that alone.
For us, it's always very refreshing to get the outsider's perspective and to say, wow, this is actually something that works really well. We didn't know we were making such a great title. We were just doing our best to create a kick-ass title.
With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to make another video talking about a different video games designs, let me know in the comments and what games you want. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. I just love talking about all types of cool things that have to do with video games. Anyways, guys, every day is our day. I'll see you guys in the next one.